Hi, Zio here. I saw the Backroom movies a few days ago, admittedly with pretty minimum expectations, I would say. Hey mom,
Hi, baby.
I'm recording a video.
Sorry.
Nah, you're good. It's not live or anything.
That is awesome.
I'm in the back rooms. Doesn't this look like our old living room?
Yes,
It looks exactly like it,
that's
but it's
crazy.
not. Like I remember the
The
stairs I would
stairs.
fall down.
Yeah.
But that's like what the back rooms is like basically. It's just like a bunch of this, like these places that look very familiar. Hey, Zio here. I saw the Backrooms movie a few days ago with admittedly minimum expectations, but I was actually pretty blown away by it, surprisingly. I've never really been much into Backrooms content. I really like liminal spaces, just like any fucking chronically online person who grew up in the early 2000s. I am very into the idea of liminal spaces, but I've never been really into liminal horror. So never watched the original. Well, until recently, I never watched the original Backrooms YouTube series. Wasn't really into like the horror games or anything. I think I watched the one Segan Hawk video about the backroom levels or whatever, and that was pretty fun. So going into this movie, I was like, it'll probably be like Skinamarink, where it's a cool little artsy thing, but it's not really my favorite thing ever or anything. But I was actually pretty impressed by it. I really liked the movie. And since watching the movie, I've kind of been on a Backrooms kick. I went back and watched the original series, watching some videos about it and shit. I've been kind of really into it since I saw the movie. So yeah, it's been ruminating in my head over the past few days. I've been kind of sitting with it, digesting the movie, and now I feel like I'm ready to talk about it now. I kind of wish I got a chance to watch the movie at least like, I don't know, a few more times, I guess, before recording my thoughts, but I would have to wait for it to come out on streaming. And I don't want to wait that long. I just want to talk about the movie because I really, really liked it. So I think the first thing to mention with the movie is just like the directing and the actual look of it. The movie looks fantastic. There's a lot of really great usage of color. The shot compositions are really good. Everything once you're in the back rooms, it's so agonizingly slow. You see every little step they take, and I really like that. I think it's very effective to the horror of the movie. It had me super anxious through the whole fucking movie. I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm in hell watching this. And it's funny because I saw it with my friend, and she was like, oh, I didn't think it was that slow. She thought it was like really well paced. And I think it was well paced, but I definitely think it was like slow. So I don't know. It could just be me and how I felt that day I saw it. But I was like, holy shit, this movie like is agonizingly slow, dude, but in a good way. Honestly, the movie could have been like 3 hours and I would have been happy. I would have been sitting there all gleeful and shit. And there are these really cool shots where like camera pans where you're in the back rooms and it's like in that found footage style, and you just see things in the background. There's like one scene where there's a little doll head and a pile of clothes, and that got me and my friend. That freaked me the fuck out. So like the horror in the movie was actually pretty effective. And another thing I really like about the way the movie is shot is that even the world outside of the back rooms feels very liminal and surreal. There's a lot of surrealist elements to just how the normal world looks. The clouds look fake throughout the whole movie, but like purposely fake. And you have like these cool scenes where like the background is kind of like everything's kind of layered on top of each other in a very strange abstract way that kind of feels like it's all the sort of set or stage. I thought that was really cool, just like being shot in this very surrealist way that really really speaks to the horror of the Backrooms and everything. It was really cool. And the movie opens up with this really cool found footage scene, and from there I was like, okay, I'm hooked. The found footage part at the very beginning was so fun and so cool to see on a big screen. I was like, oh, this movie's kind of sick. And I love the set of the back rooms so much, dude. It's like I feel kind of fucked up because I'm like, I just want to walk around the back rooms without all the monsters and stuff. I just kind of want to be in there, kind of walking around, exploring for a few hours. It's just really cool stuff, and I love that they chose to use like an actual huge set for the back rooms instead of just like doing it all in like CG or post or whatever. It really makes the space feel real and fucked up, and I really liked it. Something I wasn't sure that I fully liked about the movie was the fact that they could just leave the back rooms whenever they wanted. Like there was a section in the wall under the store, the convenience store, where they could just walk in and then they can walk back out. I don't know how I feel about that because I would have liked to see a version of this movie like the web series where it's just like once you're there you're stuck. But watching it further, I do get why they chose to do it like that, because it's like the call of the void. Like they're actively choosing to go in and get deeper and explore. That's kind of part of the themes, this not being able to let go of the past in this area. You're just kind of like once you're at that threshold and you see what lies beyond human understanding, you're just compelled to go in. And so I grew to appreciate that decision of the movie, even though at first I was like, I don't know how I feel that they could just leave whenever they want. Another thing that I wasn't really sure how I completely felt was there being like monsters in the back rooms, you know? I know that was part of the original horror series. One thing I do like is that they changed the design of the entities from the original web series in this one. Like in the movie, the human copies, wherever the fuck they are, these weird fucking meta humans, they look cool. They kind of look like, this is gonna sound like an insult, but I swear it's not. It looks kind of like when AI was in its infancy before it was like super fucking evil and every company was fucking the earth with it. It's like how it just couldn't get humans right, so they would all look like these very fucked up things, you know, with like multiple eyes, and their faces don't really make sense. And I really like how the Backrooms is explained as like it's copying human things, but the more it copies it, the more it tries to remember, the less the details come together. It's like, yeah, that's very accurate to human memory. But yeah, I didn't know how to feel about there being monsters and stuff, because I'm the psychopath where I just kind of liked the unnerving dreadfulness of just being stuck in this infinite labyrinth that doesn't make sense. But I like half like the monsters. I like half like it, because on one hand they do look really cool, and it did freak me out. You know, you have this one scene where the small little one is in the background and then it pulls a little light switch. That really fucked me up. I did not like that. No one else gave a shit about that scene. It didn't really get them, but that got me. That freaked me out. That got under my skin. And then there's a scene where he like starts cutting into one of them. It's like you can eat them, and then he takes it out and it's like this very moist foam. That was also freaky. And like when he scalped one of them to put the wig on the therapist lady, I was like, holy shit, this is some freaky fucking shit. So I like that part of it. But once you get to like the final act of the movie, it just kind of devolves into this big kind of generic monster chase. And it is fun with the set of the back rooms, you know, like her having to make her way through this labyrinth. So it was a really fun scene, but it wasn't really scary, because I'm like, yeah, it's just like, you know, the big monster scene, and the monster itself, it looks freaky, but it's not like, I wasn't really scared of it. I was just like, oh, this is like a cool freaky visual thing, but it's not really. It's just like that whole last big chase scene, it's just like, yeah. But I think the scenes before the monster was shown, like when Clark brings in his poor recording employees into the back rooms and they're being chased by the entity entity, but you don't see it, but you just like hear them fucking losing their mind being chased by this thing and trying to escape. That was really effective, especially seeing when the Clark goes up to the wall, but it's like a one-way mirror, so the girl can see him but he can't see her, and she's like, oh my god, there's something behind you, Clark, and you just see the thing pick up the camera and go towards Clark. That was really, really effective stuff. I really liked that. But the whole final chase scene, I was just like, it's whatever. It's fun, but again, not scary. I feel like the parts that really got under my skin was just like those dreadfully slow moments where you're just stuck there walking around. Nothing makes sense. I even like the little knocks and stuff where it's like, oh, you're being chased by something but you don't know. I thought that was also really effective. There's a lot of comparison to be made with this movie and Skinamarink, and I think Skinamarink took the like unnerving, dreadfully slow and painful, creepy side of this movie and just made that the whole movie, while this one struck more of a balance between like that more unnerving horror and like straight up like classic monster horror. I think it does it really well despite, my complaints with it not being like super scary. One thing I really appreciate about this movie is that it's trying to be more than just like a horror movie or a horror experience. It's asking big questions about life, about the world, and that all really comes down to like the character work with Clark and Mary. I love how you start the movie, the first big part of it is just like all from Clark's perspective. He has this really dour, sad life where his wife kicked him out, or I guess his fiance or whatever kicked him out of the house. Now he's stuck at this shitty furniture store trying to make it work, but it's not working. And then he just finds this space that's basically a reflection of pretty much everything he's going through. He's an architect, so this place goes beyond traditional architect. It doesn't make sense, so it's just something for him to get lost in, and he can just ignore his reality by getting lost in this place that's like a reflection of past memories. And with Mary, like once Clark gets found by the creature, you hard cut to Mary's point of view for the rest of the movie, and it works really well. And one thing I really like about Mary is that you get all of her character and all of her story in a very subtle and visual way. You see these past events where her mother kept her locked in the house because I assume she was like a paranoid schizophrenic, and it got to the point where her mother was hospitalized, and you're like, oh, okay, Mary is a psychiatrist or a therapist because of what she went through with her mother. Like, she wants to help other people so that they don't feel the way she felt. Also, it's like, I can help people who were like my mother, who were like having these very mentally ill moments, and I like how that part of the movie is done. And then like once she gets to the back rooms and she has that confrontation with Clark, is a deconstruction of that. He's talking to her and he's like, oh, this place, you could just live here forever. You don't have to worry about the real world or any of your mistakes. And then he's pulling her into this fucking psychotic game where he's like, we're gonna do the role-playing exercise again, and you're gonna be my wife, but this time I'm gonna be the one in control and I'm not in the wrong. And that scene was so tense where he's just like making her role play as his wife, and he's having this argument with her. He's saying all these horrible things about her, about his fiance or wife or girlfriend or whatever, and Mary is just like, I'm not your girlfriend, this has nothing to do with me. And then it gets to the point where she gets pissed off and she's like, you're fucking crazy, you're a piece of shit. Is that what you want to hear? You're just an asshole. It's like, you use all these excuses instead of just taking responsibility for stuff. And she's like, I can't help you. She literally just says, I can't help you. And it's basically this admission that she failed at what she was trying to do. And I feel like that ties into the horror of the series as well. She wanted to reconcile the past, but she just couldn't. So it comes down to this thing where she confronts Clark and she basically just says she failed, she can't help him, there's nothing she can do. And it's just this admission of true hopelessness and weakness. And I thought all the character work with Clark and Mary was really well done stuff. I really loved how it was done. And then when Mary finally escapes the back rooms and the Acing company finds her and they're interviewing her and she's like, "What are you gonna do with me after?" And then the guy's just like, I that's not my decision. That scene where he's just talking to her and the camera just lingers on her and slowly zooms in, and like the more he talks his voice just dissipates and it's just Mary looking like completely fucking out of it, and then you get this really beautiful sequence where you're just going through all of the back rooms basically, and honestly it almost made me cry. Honestly, it was just this very, there's something so sad and hopeless about that sequence, and about just something about the back rooms really brings out a sort of somberness, you know? Because it's like it's all these lost memories, all these lost places just mingled together, trying to make sense of it, but there's nothing to make sense of. It's a really beautiful reflection of the degradation of human memory. And I love the final scene too, or the final shot, the backrooms version of Mary, just this meta human sitting in this like very strange looking room, and then the movie just, it just cuts off. I thought the ending was so beautifully done. But again, this would have been a movie where I was like, if this was 3 hours, I would have been still really into it the whole time. I feel like there's something so oddly nostalgic about it. Growing up with basically unlimited internet access, I wore the nostalgia part of my brain to a nub. I rarely feel nostalgia for anything anymore because I just had access to all my childhood things. So all the nostalgia I could feel, I already fucking erased away in my brain. So seeing this movie and having it bring back those feelings of nostalgia for these like familiar places, and I know that's like, that's the whole point of liminal stuff. I'm not saying anything new, but still just seeing that in a movie on the big screen really had me immersed in the experience, and I was like, oh, okay, I get liminal horror now. Because it was something where I was like, it's cool but not really for me, but now I'm like, yeah, oh, it's actually really good. I get it. I get the magic. And so that just had me going back through the original YouTube series, and I was like, damn, King Pixels, man. This kid is fucking talented. He's younger than me. I'm pretty sure. Isn't he like 20? I'm 23. This guy's younger than me, and he made this huge series as like a teenager. Now he's like directed his own movie. I don't know how long the movie was in production, but like 18 to like 20, I guess. I'm like, damn, the dude deserves his flowers. He made something really special and really smart and poignant. It's just really interesting to see. And you know, I even love his other series like The Oldest View and People, I think it's called People Still Live Here. I really like those series as well. So I'm just looking forward to what Kane does in the future, and I hope he does more theatrical stuff. I'm sure he will, because I know the Backrooms did really successful. So I really hope he gets to do more film work, and I'm looking forward to the sort of films and stuff he does in the future. Overall, I really liked the movie. I would say I even loved the movie. Not my favorite thing ever, but I did really enjoy the movie. I do think it's something I would recommend to pretty much anyone to watch, because it's such a creative and new thing. Kane just has such a good sense of what makes the backrooms work and what pulls people into liminal horror. So yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.